and the framework or the instrument should be to achieve international tax cooperation.
President Buhari applauded for massive acquisition of military hardware.
Terrorism since 2011.
Plus, pensioners appeal to President-elect to prioritize welfare.
The President-elect to please address the interests of pensioners.
Hello and thank you for joining us on the network news on the Nigerian Television Authority, running late today, which is unusual for us. Do bear with us. I'm Naja'atu Tijani, and we'll be joining our Lagos and Jos network centers in the course of the bulletin. Remember, you can stream this news live on our website, nta.ng/live, and all our social media handles displayed on the screen. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, is advocating a simplified international tax rule and related instrument for effective and inclusive international tax cooperation. This was at the United Nations Economic and Social Council ECOSOC special meeting on international cooperation in tax matters. Onenge Fineface has the details.
United and Social Council special meeting on international cooperation in tax matters provides a global platform for inclusive, evidence-based and action-oriented discussion on domestic and international tax matters.
The Secretary-General will continue to call for a large-scale SDG stimulus led by the G20 to ensure all countries can access the funding needed to invest in sustainable development through a triple approach: greater debt relief, more concessional financing, and contingency financing for all in need.
International tax cooperation provides options to countries so that they can, in a fully informed way, choose the approach that is most appropriate for them.
The 2023 special meeting highlights the urgency of collective action to put the Sustainable Development Goals back on track and advance climate progress while avoiding further risk of debt crisis, especially for the least developed countries and others in special situations.
The goal and the framework or the instrument should be to achieve international tax cooperation at intergovernmental level, leveraging on the UN processes. The end result should be to eradicate tax evasion and illicit financial flows.
The meeting is expected to make a strong contribution to the global discussions in advance of the Financing for Development Forum. Onenge Fineface, NTA News.
Of challenges in managing migration, Nigeria has adopted the National Migration Policy and National Policy on Labor Migration to combat exploitative practices like forced labor, smuggling, and human trafficking. This is contained in Nigeria's Progress report presented at the 36th session of the United Nations Committee on the Protection of the Rights of Migrant Workers in Geneva, Switzerland. Onenge Fineface again reports.
Migrant workers and their families often experience marginalization, xenophobia, and poor living and working conditions. In serious cases, they suffer exploitation, expulsion, and risk to life. Addressing the 36th session of the United Nations Committee on the Protection of the Rights of all Migrant Workers and Members of their Families, Federal Commissioner of the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants, and Internally Displaced Persons, Iman Suleiman Ibrahim, says Nigeria is evolving policies and strategies to tackle its migration, displacement, and human rights concerns.
Establishment of the International Labour Migration Division in the Ministry of Labour and Employment to promote good governance of labour migration in Nigeria. Ensure ethical recruitment and job placements in Nigeria and abroad through the registration and license of private employment agencies such as Human Capital Association of Nigeria, an umbrella organization of registered and licensed recruiters in order to protect the rights of migrant workers and prevent exploitation and abuse.
The 36th session of the Committee on Migrant Workers considers report submitted by Nigeria as state party to International Convention on the Protection of the Rights of all migrant workers and members of their families.
Nigeria advocates for the principle of equal treatment of migrants with nationals of their host countries in respect to issues of wages, working conditions, trade union rights, social security, and access to justice.
United Nations Human Rights Office works to promote, protect, and fulfill the human rights of all migrants, regardless of their status. On Nigeria Fine Face, NTA News.
Staff unions in the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI, are advocating the full implementation of the agency's funding as approved by the President under its Act. The Joint Action Congress of the Staff Unions of the agency made the plea at a press briefing after the Congress in Abuja. Justin Bemonyi was there for NTA News.
The Joint Congress of the Staff Unions in NASENI, namely Non-Academic Staff Union of Educational and Allied Institutions, NASU, and Technical Staff Association of NASENI, TISAN, rose from its Congress affirming their delight over the decision of the federal government to extend by 2 years the tenure of the Executive Vice Chairman of the agency, Professor Mohammed Sani Haruna. For the unions, they see the further years granted to Professor Haruna will further help to ensure Nigeria is self-sufficient in food security and stand out in homegrown technologies, as well as grow the economy.
Help to consolidate on various ongoing federal government interventions through NASENI in the various sectors of economy. NASENI, under the watch of Professor M.S. Haruna, OFR, has demonstrated uncommon capacity in utilizing science and technology to turn around the fortunes of this nation.
The staff unions acknowledged and appreciated the President's political will to reposition the agency and the implementation of NASENI Act as regards its funding. However, they frown that so far only 8% of the funds approved by the National Assembly and signed by the President has been accessed.
We therefore graciously and firmly appeal to the federal government and the relevant authorities to ensure the release of the remaining funding without further delay, because NASENI remains the economical and technological solution for myriad of problems confronting this nation.
The NASENI Joint Union has also called on all responsible for ensuring new salary structure for the agency to expedite action to further motivate its workforce who now work around the clock to reposition the agency. Justin Bemonyi, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Nigerian Union of Pensioners Southwest Zone has appealed to the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to prioritize the welfare of members so as to alleviate the suffering they face daily. The union made the appeal shortly after the quarterly meeting in Abeokuta, Ogun State. Here is Hakim Jimo's report.
Addressing journalists after the quarterly meeting of the union in Abeokuta, Ogun State capital, the Public Relations Officer, Nigerian Union of Pensioners, NUP, Southwest Zone, Olusegun Abaton, appealed to the President-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu to look into the plight of members so as to reduce the hardship they contend with.
We are appealing to the President-elect to please take the matter of pensioners as a serious matter. In fact, we want even to call for a separate ministry or organization to be created for the interest, to address the interests of pensioners under the leadership of the President-elect.
Mr. Abaton, who commended President Muhammadu Buhari for giving attention to issues that affect pensioners, urged the President-elect to borrow a leaf from him. The union congratulated the President-elect and state governors who have been elected or re-elected in the zone, urging them to, as a matter of urgency, implement the consequential adjustment and the 35% pension increment.
On NTA, stay tuned for more reports after this time out.
Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Your turn.
With Glow, bonus no dey finish. Buy a Glow SIM and enjoy 10 times airtime bonus on top every recharge, plus double data bonus on all data plans.
The Executive Secretary of TED Fund, Architect Sonny STA Channel, cordially invites all heads of beneficiary institutions to the annual strategic planning workshop for the year 2023 intervention. The one-day interactive session is aimed at interacting and updating heads of beneficiary institutions on the prevailing and recently reviewed policies of TED Fund guidelines across intervention lines, and to present the 2023 approved intervention budget. Date, Wednesday, 5th April 2023. Venue, TED Fund Auditorium. Time, 10 a.m. prompt. Announcer, Abdulmumin Unyogi, Acting Director Public Affairs for the Executive Secretary of TED Fund.
Let me see your bill. What is this in your bill?
Oh, that. It's gift ship fully paid. Are you an enrollee? I mean, are you registered under the Group Individual Family Social Health Insurance Program? Gift ship.
Gift ship. What is gift ship? Tell me about it.
GiftShip is a group individual and family social health insurance program. Now, the health insurance is mandatory for every Nigerian. GiftShip allows artisans, traders, farmers, mechanics, business owners, taxi drivers, even keke riders benefit from a range of medical surgeries, medical tests, scans at any preferred NHIA accredited hospital in Nigeria. To enroll, an individual contributes only 45,000 naira per annum. For a family of 3, 45,000 naira per annum. Group of 10 persons and above, 15,000 naira a person per annum. This amount is renewable every year.
GiftShip moves, leaving no one behind.
Aisha, how many holla for me for food? I go pay you. Aisha, wait for somebody to call me. Somebody to call me first. Igwe, no worry, I will pay you. Igwe, wait first, my second phone will come. Today I know they dodge you.
How you hot take pay?
Don't worry, money na money.
Money na money.
My country people, whether you want pay money or you want collect, different options don't dey ground now. If cash no dey available, you fit use USSD transfer, mobile app, internet banking day, QR code day, e-naira day, POS day, ATM day, iyapa. If you no get account, enter the bank where they near you. Make they open them for you. Make no panic, because last, all of us will do alright. Guy, make a transfer. Money now.
Confirm.
This message now from Bankers Committee.
Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, Voice of Nigeria, VON, and National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, cordially invite the general public to its 17th annual Ramadan lecture. Topic: Divorce in Islam and its consequences. Guest lecturer, Associate Professor Bashir Aliyu Umar, Chief Imam, Al-Furqan Jumat Mosque, Kano State. Chairman of the occasion, Makaman Ringim, Hakimin Kanya Babba, Malam Muhammad Ibrahim, former Director General, NTA, FRCN. Royal Father of the Day, His Highness Ambassador Ahmed Nuhu Bammali, Emir of Zazzau. Chief Host, His Excellency Malan Nasir Ahmed El Rufai, the Executive Governor, Kaduna State. Hosts, Salihu Abdul Hamid Dembos, Director General, NTA. Dr. Mansur Limang, Director General, FRCN. Mr. Osita Okechukwu, Director General, Voice of Nigeria. Malam Balarabe Shehu Ilaila, Director General, NBC. Venue, Lumana Multipurpose Center, River Close, off Jabi Road East, off Sultan Road, Kaduna. Date 8 April 2023. Time 9 a.m. Inshallah. Announcer, Organizing Committee.
Thanks for staying tuned. We're talking security matters now and the correlation between telecommunications and military operations is reaching a new frequency in a collaborative effort between the Nigerian Defense Academy and the Nigerian Communications Commission, which will see cadets develop ICT tools for warfare. ICT correspondent Chimdima Undubisi reports.
In the theater of war globally, combat is moving from the physical to the electronically engineered. Attacks on the enemy are with precision, casualty on the attacker's side minimized. ICT is at the center of it all.
What we are seeing increasingly is the deployment of items of electronic equipment, to fight, the war, locating where the enemy is and giving instructions to the Air Force to do the damage.
As Nigeria's military thrives to combat insurgency and guards against external aggression, the executive vice chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission says Nigeria's electronic combat readiness should be top-notch. The two agencies are already working together at the Joint Intelligence Board in securing the country's territorial integrity. So, he is encouraging the computer science officer cadets of the Nigerian Defense Academy to come up with softwares and other ICT equipments relevant in their line of duty.
You can write a very good software that will be able to trace the location of the enemy or the equipment, the military equipment that the enemy has deployed without moving from your location.
The military is also reminded of a major threat to tackle: cyber attacks. In Abuja, Chimdima Ndubisi, NTA News.
The Nigerian Army is developing the capacity of its personnel to effectively combat the complex emerging threats in the country. This is the focus of a leadership course in Operations Security Force Protection, organized by the Nigerian Army Resource Center, Abuja.
Most important to the operations is the issue of intelligence. How do you safeguard, how do you secure your intelligence without giving out your information to the adversary? And so it's necessary for us to go through the gamuts of intelligence gathering, and above all, for everybody to come together and know each other, know their strengths and weaknesses, which will assist in improving the level of collaboration and cooperation among the various agencies.
The leadership course has participants drawn from the military, paramilitary, and selected ministries and departments. Massive acquisition of military hardware and strategic guidance by President Muhammadu Buhari has accounted for the successes recorded in the fight against terrorism in the Northeast, says the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Farouk Yahya, at the first quarter Chief of Army Staff conference holding in Abuja. Defense correspondent Ismail Musa reports.
These principal officers are at the Chief of Army Staff Conference, an avenue for the Army to review its activities and enhance projections to improve ongoing operations. Sharing news for the Army is that efforts in various operations in synergy with sister services has significantly curtailed terrorism.
In the past 11 years, from 2011 to date, Nigeria recorded its highest rating against terrorism last year. This is indeed a commendable effort and achievement by you all, the other sister services.
The Army approved the implementation of personnel insurance scheme funded by the service, an initiative that became effective on 1st February 2023.
No any other groups or individuals should threaten the integrity of this nation as enshrined in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
These armored personnel carriers on display are products of local research and development and have been supporting internal security operations. These are locally produced mine-resistant ambush-protected vehicles, MRAP, with strengthened and reinforced shock absorbers to adapt to the undulating terrain in the Northeast. 14 operational vehicles were also handed over to warrant officers to boost their morale. The Army Chief also inaugurated a historic park to commemorate and preserve the heritage of the Nigerian Army and soldiers, especially those who paid the supreme price while in service. From the Nigerian Army Resource Center in Abuja, Ismail Musa, NTA.
Still on defense and security, the Nigerian Army has denied involvement in the alleged termination of more than 10,000 pregnancies and the killing of children during the height of insurgency in 2013 in the Northeast, as reported by international media. This was during a stakeholders consultative forum organized by the Special Independent Investigation Panel on Human Rights Violation during counterinsurgency operations in the Northeast. Simon Asha reports from Yola.
The Special Independent Investigation Panel on Human Rights Violation is in Yola to carry out investigation on the said allegations for recommendations to the federal government for justice.
Another important aspect of the work of the panel is that it is tasked with receiving memoranda from members of the public and victims of human rights violations perpetrated by the Nigerian Armed Forces in the counter-insurgency operations.
Brigadier General B.A.D. Martins of 28 Task Force Chibok and Brigadier General Muhammad Jibril of 23 Armored Brigade Yola denied the allegations.
The same army that is assisting the federal government to execute this program to its fullest accomplishment will now find itself smothering children. The two are unrelated. I will still stand any day to tell you that the Nigerian Army cannot be involved in such a very, very grievous accusation.
The Nigerian Army is a professional army, and we are well trained and highly respected, not only in Nigeria, across the globe, because of our performances.
In Yola, Simon Asha, NTA News.
The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, has condemned in strong terms the unwarranted attacks and killings in Dabna village in Hong local government area of Adamawa State by unknown gunmen. In a statement signed by the Director, Information, Willie Bassi, the repeated attacks have led to loss of lives, property and means of livelihood of the people of Dabna and surrounding communities who are basically agrarian. The SGF, while commending the swift intervention of law enforcement agencies in containing the attack from spreading to other communities, condoles with the government and people of Adamawa State, Dabna community and families of those who lost their loved ones in the incident. The High Court of Lagos State has dismissed a no-case submission filed by the suspended Assistant Superintendent of Police, Drambi Vandi, who allegedly killed a Lagos-based lawyer, Omobolanle Rahim, on December 25, 2022. The presiding judge, Justice Ibironke Harrison, ordered the defendant to open his defense as a prima facie, which has been made against him. In his application on the no-case submission, Vandi asked the court to dismiss the suit and discharge him, claiming that he has no case to answer. With this ruling, the defendant, Drambi Vandi, is expected to defend his alleged involvement in the killing of Omobolanle Rahim on December 25, 2022. Meanwhile, issues of police service reforms and welfare are key factors for achieving effective policing in the country. And these are some of the submissions at a strategic meeting between the top management of the Police Service Commission, led by Chairman Dr. Solomon Arase, and the Inspector General of Police, Usman Ali Baba. Dennis Temple reports.
Issues of recruitment, promotion and discipline in the Nigerian police has become a recurring decimal in Nigerian police force. It is against this backdrop that the top hierarchy of the Nigerian police are making concerted efforts towards addressing this challenge. The Inspector General of Police, on a collaborative mission to the Police Service Commission, urged the chairman to reposition the police force for effective service delivery.
The Commission's responsibility in repositioning the Nigerian police force in terms of promotion, discipline, and appointment are key issues that are being carried out in this place day to day. You are welcome on board. We'll cooperate with you. We will also ensure that we make your job easy.
There's going to be a paradigm shift. We are going to be very, very strong on security sector reforms. We intend to talk to development partners, both within the country and outside the country, so to see how we will be able to get customized courses for the force that will make you to start getting that self-confidence back again. Those gaps that your normal training cannot cover, we will be able to assist you to cover them.
In Abuja, Dennis Temple, NTA News.
It's time to join our Lagos Network Center where Michael is standing by.
Thank you, Najatu. In its 2023 post-elections report, the Lagos Police Command says isolated cases witnessed were fueled by fake and hate news vendors, and as a way to tackle the trend, its cybercrime capacity to identify, apprehend, and prosecute such elements have been heightened. The Commissioner of Police, Idowu Onwa, stated this while interacting with officers. Although the dust raised by purveyors of fake and hate news during the just concluded general elections is gradually fading off, but the Lagos Police Command is assessing its operations to effectively plan and position officers for better performance in the future. This is the essence of this dialogue.
Areas of jurisdictions.
Within the 2 rounds of election, 54 major incidents across 13,325 polling units were recorded, in which 45 suspects were arrested and 2,870 permanent voters' cards were recovered. The Commissioner of Police, however, singled out what it termed fraudulent manipulation of social media to threaten the electoral process and create tension. Now that the elections are over, the police want those planning to use such vehicle to inflame violence to have a rethink.
We also wish to firmly warn all agents of destabilization to desist henceforth for common good, as the command cybercrime capacity is being enhanced to identify, apprehend, and prosecute such elements within the dictates of extant laws.
Beyond the elections, the police said its analysis of crime in the state shows that the activities of cultists have become a major threat to public peace and security, stating that combative measures will be activated to counter the threats.
The operation will be executed in a way as to ensure that the anti-cultism battle is taken right to the doorsteps, hideouts, and safe havens of cultists.
While the police in Lagos will be leveraging on the Inspector General's commendation during the elections to improve on its performance, the Commissioner of Police believes partnership with the public is important to achieve more successes. For micro, medium, and small-scale enterprises to move to the realm of global acceptability of their products and services while equally conducting businesses to meet international best practices, there must be deliberate effort to regulate consultants who are in quality management system to companies in the country to erase fraudulent practices in the sector. Larry Bilei reports.
Practices in the world is to have organizations that see to the certification of standards and the quality of products and services being churned out from micro, medium, small-scale enterprises, even large companies. Nigeria cannot be an exception in this system. This is what informed stakeholders in this sector to come together and deliberate on ways to weed out quacks who have managed to take advantage of the system in certifying enterprises fraudulently.
Right now, anybody can come into the market without documentation, and some of our customers, the public, have been duped by companies that are not authentic. So this process will make sure that only individuals that are qualified and authentic are participating in the system.
Registration of consultants is being proposed, where practitioners are regulated and assurances of best practices becomes the norm.
Register
not only consultants, but auditors. But when you register auditors, then you will cut down quacks.
Whenever a client approach us or approach anybody for registration, the client will know that he's not going to be shortchanged.
This development will go a long way in not only eliminating sharp practices, but also in ensuring that acceptable standards are injected into the conception of products, system service, and processes. In Lagos, Larry Bilayi, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates. Time for some messages. The news will be back shortly. Please stay.
Welcome back to our Abuja studios. The journey of 1,000 miles, the saying goes, starts with a step. And that bold step was taken in 2019 by Seplat Energy in collaboration with Conversations for Change, a non-governmental organization, to bridge the unemployment gap in the country. 4 years down the lane, the success story is what is being celebrated, and Olajide Bello has all the action.
The Nigerian Economy Summit Group, NESG, projected that the country's unemployment rate will hit 37% in 2023 in its macroeconomic outlook report titled Nigerian Transition, Recipes for Shared Prosperity, due to weak performance in the job-elastic sectors and low labor absorption of sectors. This is where Seplat is stepping in to complement government efforts to nurturing young talents and making them entrepreneurs.
To present this to Dr. Wago and her board members, and attest to it that we did it. We promised that we delivered.
With constant engagement and close monitoring, Seplat keeps tab on their success story in their various endeavors.
And we at Seplat Energy, in collaboration with our partners and of course C4C that deploys the program, we have gladly and happily witnessed almost 60 of them graduate from this program.
It's continuous, and as long as the company survives, it will continue to sustain this type of businesses because it helps people to grow and it improves employment.
Just like Oliver Twist, they ask for more in areas of funding and adequate provision of infrastructure.
I'm very proud of Seplat Energy for partnering with Conversations for Change to support entrepreneurs through teaching them business skills.
One of the achievers, as they are addressed, Ngozi Rowland, was on the highway of depression, but today hope is restored, all thanks to the initiative.
I reluctantly applied and I was selected, and man, that was a rebirth.
With SDG Goal 8 in mind, Seplat Energy and C4C is poised to promote sustained, inclusive and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, as well as decent work for the Nigerian youth. Olajide Bello, NTA News.
Now let's talk business, and Musa has lots of updates for us. Over to you, Musa.
Thank you, Najat. Nigeria is witnessing growth in alternative payment platforms as fintechs continue to take advantage of the payment ecosystem to avail people ways of transaction without necessarily relying on cash. Central Bank Governor Godwin Emefiele said it's a welcome development for Nigeria's cashless policy.
Have been able to use those idle capacity to boost their online payment, and they have made a lot of money from that because online payment in the fintech sector has actually increased quite astronomically, and we're happy that rather than relying on just only the banks, we have many other channels through which online banking, online payment services can be done so that Nigerians don't suffer because we're insisting that we have to go cashless.
Oil prices on track for biggest gain in nearly a year after OPEC Plus announced it was slashing output by 1.16 million barrels per day. Reuters report that Brent crude futures last jumped 6.15% to $84.80 a barrel on that news, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures soared 6.25% to $80.40 a barrel. The voluntary cuts will start from May to end 2023, Saudi Arabia announced, saying it was a precautionary measure targeted towards stabilizing the oil market. The move comes on the back of Russia's decision to trim oil production by 500,000 barrels per day until the end of 2023, according to the country's deputy prime minister. Saudi Arabia's output cut of 500,000 barrels per day. Other member states have also pledged cuts. The UAE will be cutting output by 144,000 barrels per day, while Kuwait, Oman, Iraq, Algeria, and Kazakhstan will also be reducing output. The equities market began the week on a bearish note as investors lose more than 26 billion naira. The key market indicator declined by 48.00 basis points amid negative market breadth. The all-share index shed 0.09% to end market session at 54,184.34 points. 292.5 million volume of securities worth 2.38 billion naira were traded in 4,408 deals. Equity capitalization decreased to 29.5 trillion naira. Fidelity Bank, Transcorp, and UBA led top trade chart. That's a quick look at business news. Najab, it's back to you.
Thank you, Musa. The Federal Road Safety Corps is partnering the Nigerian Bar Association on proactive civil action for full compensation of road traffic crash victims. If fully implemented, the Corps emphasizes it will put drivers and vehicle owners on their toes, as they will now be responsible for what happens to passengers in their vehicles in terms of injuries and fatalities. Oyemi Ajayi reports.
Days after the Riot Act, which is the imposition of compensation to victims of road crashes at the expense of drivers and their employers, was read out to leaders of transportation unions, the Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps is now walking the talk by partnering with the Nigerian Bar Association for judicial support. He is unequivocal that this will bring to an end the current reign of impunity on the roads.
Apart from our own enforcement that we'll be doing, I think we need to bring the law into this so that the law will take its course, so that people will get justice.
This will not only give us the opportunity to contribute our quota in dealing with those issues, but the relationship that will evolve from this, our partnership, will also begin to educate all of us on both sides of how that we are called to do the same work.
As regards the contentious issue that the Federal Road Safety Corps cannot operate on state roads, the NBA president assured the Corps Marshal that he will liaise with the Attorney General of the Federation, the Chief Justice of the Federation, as well as all heads of courts to ensure that this is addressed, while aligning with the fact that road traffic crashes does not have jurisdiction and can occur on all roads if not adequately prevented. Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari rejoices with multi-talented musician Ebenezer Obey on his 81st birthday, celebrating the talented performer for 66 years of impactful global career with evergreen signature tunes from the 50s. President Buhari, in a statement, affirms the influence of Obey, known as Chief Commander, on the blossoming Nigerian musical industry since he started out at 15 years, bringing a fusion of juju and high life into a musical band, International Brothers, in 1964, metamorphosing to International Reformers in the 70s. The president believes the revered mentor and teacher expands his reach through sharing knowledge, good works, and charity, guiding younger musicians to get training and skills at his musical school, counseling many against destructive habits and providing scholarships for the less privileged with visits to orphanages and other welfare institutions. President Buhari joins family members, friends, professional colleagues and fans of Obi in appreciating the lifelong dedication, diligence and sacrifice which culminated in the success and the willingness to always place God at the center. Stay tuned for more news after these messages. President Muhammadu Buhari shares the grief with family members, friends and associates of distinguished elder of the Yoruba Tennis Club and past president, Nigerian Institute of Structural Engineers, Ezekiel Iyoola Omishore, who has passed on aged 96. President Buhari affirms the courage and inspiration which Omishore brought into work and life, remaining humble and warm even in his 90s. The president urges family members and friends to approximate the good works of Omishore, who was also the Alatunse of the Cathedral Church, and praise God for the repose of his soul. The president-elect Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed sympathy and condolences to the Chief Whip of the Senate, who is also a former governor of Abia State, Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, over the passing of his wife, Mrs. Ifeoma Ada Kalu, aged 61, noting that the death of a loved one is painful and prays for God to console the entire family, and all those she left behind. President Muhammadu Buhari also sympathizes with former governor of Abia State and Chief Whip of the Senate, Orji Uzor Kalu, over the death of his wife, Ifeoma Ada Kalu, commiserating with the senator and family, friends and associates, urging trust in God for comfort and care during the very difficult period of pain and deep reflection. In a related development, Ahmed Lawan, President of the Senate, has expressed shock and sadness over the news of the death of Mrs. Ifeoma Kalu, praying for the repose of her soul, while the governor of Abia State, Okezie Ikpeazu, has also sent his deepest condolences to the family of the former governor, Senator Orji Uzor Kalu, with a prayer for the repose of the soul of Mrs. Ifeoma Ada Kalu. Up next is Sports Update.
The Technical Director of the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, Samuel Oniteku, has reassured of the Federation's commitment to produce athletes that will represent Nigeria to podium finish at the forthcoming Africa Under-18 and 20 Athletics Championship coming up in Zambia from 29th of April to 4th May. Oniteku was speaking on the backdrop of talents discovered at the just concluded AFM trials held in Kaduna.
All around, we are going to make sure that the Federation will not have any gap when the senior athletes are retiring. That's why since this board came into place for over 2 years, there has been total focus on the junior athletes.
According to the technical director, the athletes will observe a 2-week camping in Abuja before going for the Africa Youth Championship. Nigeria beat arch rival Rwanda by 9 runs at the Tafawa Balewa Cricket Oval in Lagos on Sunday to win the 3rd Nigeria Cricket Federation Women's T20 Invitational Tournament in an intense final match. Rwanda, defending champions, had to manage 90 runs for the loss of 9 wickets as Nigeria's strong fielding strategy ensured the victory.
Just wanted my team to win, and for me to be the player of the game means I have actually put up some skills to take our team to the victory.
And finally, 4 matches will be decided Tuesday in the match day 29 of the English Premier League. 16th place Bournemouth welcome Roberto De Zerbi-led Brighton at the Vitality Stadium. Nottingham Forest will visit 17th place Leeds United at the Elland Road. Relegation threatening Leicester City will be at home to welcome 9th place Aston Villa. Tuesday matches will be concluded with Chelsea that just parted ways with their manager Graham Potter hosting Liverpool. With sport updates, Clement Olorontoba, NTA News.
And on that note, we conclude the network news on NTA. Thanks for watching. Keep supporting NTA's campaign against rape and rapists.